Hi, I'm here with Dr. Craig Wright from Enchain, and this is Tan from the Metaverse Street Journal. This is our session. Hi, Dr. Craig.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. So today we're here talking about what you think of the Metaverse per se. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think it's just another rip-off by Silicon Valley companies of an idea that they've half-assed of mine. So before that we came up with what I call MetaNet, and they've gone, oh, but it's verse. But, I mean, it's not that different, and it's using technology that I created and that we've got patents for. So.
Right, and obviously we've had a conversation, and you have expressed the fact that you don't think the way Facebook is building the metaverse is the way forward, right?
I think that it's similar to Orwell's 1984. I mean, it's actually trying to create a completely dystopian world and try and paint it as good. One where Facebook have control and algorithms that separate people into different groups, and about everything bad with Silicon Valley squared.
Right.
So what it should be is not what it is. So right now we have people doing silly sort of sales of bored apes that are worthless, basically to cover money laundering and get fools who think that it's other than money laundering engaged. The reality here is there is real digital art. Before LinkedIn took my account down again, I had write-ups on some of the things where I studied art and discussed those.
There's this argument that what URL domain names are to Web 1 and Web 2, right? And we can argue which metaverse is going to work out, but Metaverse Land is the domain name URL to Web 3. And instead of, say, buying a domain name to start Amazon.com or whatever, right? You go and you purchase a piece of Metaverse Land and create a 3D shop in there. So yeah,
You've got a shop for things that anyone can take. I mean, if you look at bored apes right now, anyone can take the image and display it on other systems. It's just a gift. So there's no scarcity. So why would you want to sell it? What are you selling? I mean, the only thing that I've seen of any value to anyone, which should be stopped immediately, is illicit activity.
Yeah.
So what value? So you're talking about naming structures. We've got plenty of those, and They come back to identity and ownership and things like this. And I was there during the dot-com stupidity. A friend of mine who ended up working for Cisco before they listed and IPO'd, worked under me in an ISP in the past. And what happened with him, and we did a whole lot of things like IP addressing and selling domain names and all that, as people do now. I think it was hotel.com or something like that he owned at one stage. And there's no business in owning a domain. Amazon is a bookstore, or now an everything store, but Amazon started as a bookstore.
Yeah.
And yet, Amazon.com, they didn't choose it because it's books.com. He just chose a name that sounded fine. Not too long, it's a word, people will remember it, Amazon.
Right.
So the reality here is, this whole get a name, I mean, it's the same BS from 1996, where people were running around going, you'll be rich because you've got travel.com.
Right.
And dogfood.com. And dogfood.com was worth more than Amazon at one stage.
Yep.
And they had no business, no customers, and when the crash happened, no more dogfood.com.
Absolutely. So in linking that, and great that we sort of hinted it on that conversation. Right now, what's going on in the crypto industry and the NFT and the metaverse, a lot of folks are saying that this is the dot-com bubble of the crypto and blockchain industry, right? That a lot of players will not survive, but the ones that do become the Amazon.
It's not a crypto industry, that's the first problem. So people don't even know the system they're running. Right. Bitcoin's not a cryptographic system, full stop. I mean, yes, it uses hashes, yes, it uses digital signature algorithms, but that's not the same thing. There's no encryption in Bitcoin, no encryption in any of these systems. Blockchain is unencrypted. The security model, people talk about how much hash power you have. It's wrong. The security model of Bitcoin is people. What it does is it creates a system that gives you a time-stamped witness of what occurred. And the security of Bitcoin comes from when people have the block headers. If you have 5 billion people all having the block header, you have 5 billion witnesses to any change. So if you try and roll back history and change it, 5 billion people see that happen. That's the security of Bitcoin. It's nothing to do with Coder's law. It's nothing to do with computers. I mean, it uses computer algorithms, the same way people use hammers and saws to build a house. The security is purely people. It is a human system, not a computer system. The people hijacking it in Silicon Valley don't understand Bitcoin. They don't understand that it's a system to empower people. That's what it's about. That's what the word decentralization that has been bastardized and turned into this node thing where a few big companies get to have walled gardens is really about. It's the edges of the network, the people running it and operating it.
Right.
And how it empowers people is it allows artists and creators and developers and others to own their work, to be able to promote and distribute without being owned. It allows creating in a way that brings back meritocracy, so that people can actually release things in a way that sort of builds their brand, not because of sort of this Love Island world that they're teaching us to sort of dumb us down to, but because of the best things, the most beautiful, the aesthetic, the sublime.
Right.
So they're the two competing visions, and mine is the aesthetic and the sublime. I'm hoping to have people engaged with other people. Theirs is turning you into a product. We'll put a little label on your arm, and that barcode can record how much Facebook earns from you.
Absolutely. So, let's say in a world where Dr. Craig has a lot of control and he has the ability to shape the metaverse, what would the metaverse look like?
Probably Facebook, because I don't. That's the whole point. I mean, there is no, I mean, I create a whole lot of patents and ideas. My inventing something doesn't stop someone else inventing something else.
Right.
So nothing stops people from out-innovating and beating me, other than not doing it. So the reality here is the system I've created, Bitcoin, the protocol's fixed. for a reason, so that I can't change it. So Ethereum, they have we can change the protocol model. BTC, we can change the protocol. Solana, we can change the protocol. I want you to think for a moment what that really means. If you can change the protocol, you control the system.
Yeah.
The way you control the system. Ethereum, if they don't like somebody, they could put something that breaks that business. And if you do that, that takes out your competition. If you have someone on the platform, you don't like what they're doing, you can stop them.
Yeah.
So I can't. If someone's doing something I don't like, I have no right to, if it's within the protocol rules, I can call them stupid and say that's a dumb thing, but that doesn't stop them doing it.
Absolutely. We saw that recently with Do Kwon of Luna, right? Where, people have their own versions of it, but he was sort of duped into a hedge fund kind of situation where they bought his assets and dumped it simultaneously to cause a crash. So.
Yeah, well, it was a stupid idea in the first place. The only person who can, only way to issue money is to have a provable backup. If you're a bank, you can do it at a cost. If you're a central bank, you can do it for nearly nothing. Otherwise, it's a load of BS. The reality is issuing certificates has been around for a long time. People have been able to issue banknotes, etc., for a long, long time. There's a reason it doesn't happen, because the backing's not there. Wildcat banking happened and had to be controlled because people just kept printing more money.
Right.
Right now, we have no idea how much actual backing, so to speak, Tether has. And my opinion is it's practically nothing.
Yep, absolutely. A lot of people have actually also said the same thing about Tether, because SEC has been investigating them, and their backing has been a bit in question.
It's like the Hotel California.
Right.
You can check in, but you can never leave. And the only way you get out of Tether is you find some other fool to buy your Tether.
Yeah.
But once you put a US dollar in there, that US dollar goes to Tether and it stays with Tether. It's not put in a bank account. Right. You don't get that US dollar back out. So, that's something people don't understand. So the way Tether works is I put that dollar in, and now I get this Tether here, and someone else puts a dollar in and they get this Tether here, and I can now exchange and get my money out by giving someone else the Tether, but the original money isn't there, so it's a Ponzi, because the only way to get money back out is to put more money in.
It's more like a pyramid scheme, basically. You're relying on new investors to put in money to pay back the old investors. Anything you're seeing from a fundraising perspective? So I know a lot of startups are working not only in Web3 but even other places. And we ourselves are a startup, and we work with a lot of startups. So is there anything you're looking at from a VC perspective or the fundraising perspective for startups?
Not myself, but what I'd like to see is people start acting responsibly and legally. Now, ICOs were nothing new. Back in 1996, there was something called a web IPO.
Yep.
It was no different to an ICO. Same scam, same different day. Now, there are plenty of ways of raising money. Businesses can raise up to $1 million with very little sort of oversight. They can raise up to $5 million a year with a bit of oversight. Over that, they have to actually do things. Now, the argument is, we need more money. Well, actually, no, you don't. If you're a startup and you're raising more than $5 million a year, and you haven't got a user base, you haven't got anything else, all you're doing is buying billiard tables and foosball tables and having pizza nights, and you're not actually starting a business.
Yeah.
So this is the Silicon Valley model: throw money at everything and hope that something sticks.
And in doing that, I'd say generally as a startup field, I think folks have lost the ability to sort of bootstrap as well. So I would agree with you that doing it the hacky way, the bootstrap way, because of so much money, has been lost in the startup world, right?
So that just makes people wary. What you should be doing is actually building something.
Yeah.
And if you're not lean and you're not hungry,
Yeah.
you're not going to succeed.
Absolutely.
I mean, all the companies that did succeed were lean and hungry.
Right.
Facebook went hand to mouth for many years.
Right.
Google, same. Now they're not, and now they're just horrible oligarchs that sit there and eat up everything. But the reality is, any company that is going to succeed doesn't get there by having money thrown at them.
Absolutely. Right. Well, finally, and here's the thing, because we are building ourselves as a startup, and it's not every day you get to talk to someone like yourself, right? Here's the question that we have personally. We're building a newspaper and a CNBC kind of like a business news channel for the NFT, Metaverse, and Web3. What would your advice be for us as a startup to succeed or even get better? Because let's be frank, we're at early stages, right?
Scientific rationality, real news, bipartisan. Don't take an approach, just look at the facts. In the distant past, back in the 60s, etc., there were newspapers who had journalists. Now we have reporters, and they're very different. Create a global news system that is honest, that doesn't have agendas, and capture truth. Don't do the CNN bit where you have half the photo and make it look like something else. Don't sort of go for the political, I'm on this side or I'm on that side. Don't support sort of either side of government. Be open and objective and neutral, and report honestly so that people can actually build trust in you. No one trusts media anymore. They trust TikTok more.
Yeah.
And that's Chinese controlled. I mean, really?
And I would even say, if I can add to that, I don't think they trust TikTok that much. I think they trust the folks on TikTok, because that's like connecting with someone on the ground, right? So I think that is definitely a valid point, that end of the day, a lot of media in the world, at least the established media, has an agenda. Because the moment you have a Rupert Murdoch backing you, or another side backing you, right? Ironically, both the left and the right are owned by Rupert Murdoch. But when you have such a media there and they have a bias, it's not crazy to think why
But
folks...
it's like Facebook. What you do is you polarize people.
Yeah.
And you have this model where it's click-based advertising, where you put one person on one side or the other, and then you face them against each other. You get this group believing in some wacky theory, and this one believing that it's a conspiracy, and you have them fight each other and become trolls, and the end result is everyone loses, apart from Facebook and Murdoch and a few media organisations. So, I mean, going back to actually honest reporting, something trustworthy, build trust over time, make sure that people understand that every view gets counted for. When you write an article, go, this was said, these are the different opinions, here are the facts behind both cases, and let people make their own minds up. We have them, don't treat them like children.
Yeah, absolutely. Essentially, just report both sides of the story, present facts, and leave the public be. So yeah, that is about it. We are here with Dr. Craig, and it's been an honor, Dr. Craig.
Thank you very much.
Hope to talk to you soon. Thank you. Thank you. You be the arbiter of truth, the viewers and the listeners of the Metaverse Street Journal. The Metaverse Street Journal, the daily dose of your Metaverse news.